So this is session 4 of the project management workshop, and we're going to be talking about accomplishing, or at least shooting for, but understanding how one goes about the 21-day rehab. So in this chapter, we're going to consider just why the whole idea of fast tracking a rehab is a challenge at all, and I'm going to argue the case for being your own project manager. Some of you have been with me for a while understand that I have strong feelings about that. And then we'll discuss, at least conceptually, segmenting the job. Improvised. But anyway, fast tracking your job. Timing is everything when it comes to fast tracking your job, if anybody cares about it at all. And really the only person who cares about it is the investor rehabber. It certainly is not very high on the priorities of the tradesmen involved in the project. And quite frankly, the only way it happens is by diligent project management, and that's what we're going to be looking at in the latter half of this segment tonight. But to do less, or to ignore the idea of the principles of project management and the goal of achieving timing as being worthwhile to your success is quite frankly to leave it to contractors to perform efficiently, on their own volition. But to do that is to risk financial loss and perhaps the indignity of a failed venture. I love it when I wrote that because I can't imagine how many people come to our roundtables for the first time, licking their wounds over their first effort, which they started out, of course, with great expectations, and in the end, 6 months into the mission, maybe they weren't even done yet. Their budget was completely shot, and they were so much in the red they didn't know how to get out. And at that point, my best advice was take your losses, get out of the deal, sell it, or refinance it best you can, and go on to your next project, because this one might be just beyond repair. So the way you accomplish this is to schedule your work like the pros. Now, quite frankly, in these small-scale rehabs, the pros are those who hire a team of Polish contractors who put in 18-hour days. They're all living in the same apartment, sleeping on bunk beds, and they arrive there at 6 in the morning and they work until sundown. And they run the job, and that's great. Quite frankly, I haven't had access to a crack Polish crew in years. They priced themselves out of my market, that's for sure. That's what happens. Familiarity breeds price increases, maybe in any marketplace. We're tempted, we're always tempted by the contractor who says, oh, me and my guys will take care of everything, and boss, we know how to run a job, and we'll take care of it lickety-split. My message to you is don't believe it. They're finessing you. It's part of their crude variety of salesmanship, and it sure bears very little resemblance to reality. So how do we offset that? Well, skilled project managers coordinate multiple trades, working in concert according to a logical plan. And we'll take a look at how that's put together. And to underscore the point, our program, the Urban Rehabber Program, has demonstrated time and again the feasibility of completing a routine single-family rehab in 21 days or less. We have so the only way it was possible, and to make that 21-day rehab possible, was to coordinate the work of multiple contractors rather than rely, as we did initially, on the expertise for sure, or the commitment of a single general contractor. With experience, one learns the progress of the job need not be lockstep, with no allowance for incidental delays. There will always be delays due to weather, delayed deliveries, and so forth. What keeps the whole process on track is understanding what tasks may be performed independently of others and which are logically sequential. Interior electrical work should follow plumbing. The electricians can bend their pipe around cast iron steel drains that plumbers need to accomplish their work. Plumbers are not going to bend their pipes to go around electrician. Likewise, drywall must follow the plumbers and electricians. Why? Well, because the electricians and plumbers work within the partitions, in the partitions, and the drywallers, of course, come along and cover that work as in the old days was done with lath and plaster. So the challenge is, A, to find contractors who share this understanding of the well-run job at all, and B, to secure their commitment to that objective. All sounds pretty good, but sadly, the less sophisticated tradesmen typically engaged in local smaller rehab projects generally lack the understanding and are more committed to prolonging the work than completing it. So the solution to this difficult reality is, as much as possible, to assume the role of project manager, effectively the nominal general contractor for all practical purposes, and to personally schedule at least the major subcontractors. And if you think about it, that's not too hard. If through your networking and talking to other rehabbers, you know a good roofer, you've got the name of a contractor that does only siding, you've got a list of 2 or 3 manufacturers that are local within your area. Here in the Chicago area, we probably have a dozen, typically East European shops that are creating vinyl windows, to modern thermal windows to today's standard. And they have subcontractors who go out there and install those windows. And that crew arrives on your job at 8 in the morning. Let me tell you, by 2 in the afternoon, they're sweeping up. All the old windows are in the back of their truck, and they're done. They're on their way. Let your favored contractors successfully persuade you that they can do it. Yes, there's no question that they can install those windows. But the pro's job that might have lasted less than a day is going to take them 3 days. And for you, the cost is time, even if they're willing to do it for the same money. So the key then to this is project management. And good project management is your key to, first of all, maximum efficiency. That efficiency lowers your risk. If you can foreshorten the length of time that that project's going on, you're less vulnerable to theft on the job. And if you take reasonable care of your security issues, during the fairly short time that guys will be actively working on that job, you can be fairly well protected. You will have reasonable control over your production schedule and timing, because my suggestion is you take a hand in it. And having done that, and following what we talked about last time on contractor sworn statements and so forth, you will be far more in control of your costs. There'll be a budget that you're observing. You'll know when you exceed it. You can make adjustments on the fly and more or less try to bring that in, not just on time, but on budget. And then finally, moving that project along, it boosts and maintains morale for everybody involved on a job. They've never seen that happen before, but suddenly the work is getting done. And from your standpoint, all of this adds up to maximum profits. So for a quick review of what's involved in managing, to you is do the best you can to shoot for that 21-day rehab, because if you shoot for that and it becomes 30, That's a damn sight better if you use no guideposts at all. Because if you use no guideposts at all, what I'm suggesting to you here, it can be done in 3 weeks, is going to take you 3 months. And the idea, and what I just illustrated, was segmenting your project for greater control. The graphic we just looked at, and the one that's coming up shortly, illustrates very well the concept of segmenting the job. Rehabs, regardless of their scope or complexity, involve working with multiple contractors. And that's my advice to you. You got to resist the temptation of going with this guy who says, oh, don't worry about a thing, boss, we do everything. Because I think I've explained to you that while they might, in fact, have the ability to do everything, they've only got so many guys, and basically they want to keep the income from the project for themselves. They don't want to hire somebody from the outside to come in and do a task, which they feel, well, we can do that. Well, that's fine. They might be accurate there, but it just tacked another 3 or 4 days onto the back end of your completion date. The job, you retain significant control over both the cash flow and the timing of the progress of your project. It is as simple as that. That's the idea. And I think if you visualize that and think about it, in truth, that's how it can work for you. And trust me, you'll get better at it. But the point is, you can't just hire a general contractor and walk away. So with that, then, we end section 4.